Brigitte Macron a dude, or is she just, and by the way, I do mean this, like, I don't like Macron, I don't like his politics, I don't like his policies, and I probably wouldn't like Brigitte at all, and by the way, she was a teacher, and it was really creepy, and he was young, and I think that it's probably an inappropriate relationship, of course. But if this woman is not a man, and just a very unfortunate-looking broad, Candace Owens, Macron. I know the reflex is to go, Macron, crappy, generally, if only because he's French. And Candace, someone who has been conservative or perceived that way, must be right. And this must be political persecution, because it was announced yesterday that Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron are suing Candace Owens over the repeated, nonstop claims that Brigitte is, in fact, a man and living a lie.
French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte are suing right-wing podcaster and conspiracy theorist Candace Owens.
Brigitte?
The defamation lawsuit filed today in Delaware claims that Owens has engaged in a, quote, relentless and unjustified smear campaign against the couple. The complaint goes on to allege that Owens spread outrageous conspiracy theories that France's first lady could be a man, that the Macrons are related in committing incest, and that the Macrons, the couple, is being controlled by the CIA.
Okay, so here's the thing. Just like we have to apply the same standard in that Watch Mojo video. Donald Trump denies claims of racism. Well, it's not incumbent upon him to prove he's not racist. It's incumbent upon you to prove that he's racist. Same thing here. If you say that she is a man and that they are having an incestuous relationship working for the CIA, it is incumbent upon Candace Owens to prove that. This case is not a freedom of speech case, to be clear. If you guys agree that Donald Trump should have gotten the settlement of, I don't remember how much it was it 16 million?
16 million from CBS?
Yeah. And there are more, in counting Nick Sandmann, right? Because they knowingly lied. The threshold is, did they knowingly lie about Donald Trump? Not that they get something wrong, because you want your press to be able to get something wrong. You also should expect of them to provide retractions. We do that all the time. That's why we have an admonish button, so we don't have to wait on it. People can get things wrong. Did this person knowingly lie, or sometimes a little bit lower, were they willfully irresponsible in spreading damaging information, claims, without doing any due diligence whatsoever? And they usually weigh that with, okay, were you then made aware that this was perhaps incorrect? And did you exacerbate it and make it worse? That's what this is going to be about. Candace responded by, you could say, doubling down.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. Oof. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood, figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey, how about just giving us some pictures again of you growing up, raising your children? That would be fine.
Yeah, so here's the problem, and if you read the entire filing, and I read 100-something pages of it last night, they actually already did directly send proof to Candace, said pictures, childhood pictures of Brigitte. They did send evidence of Brigitte's biological motherhood of 3 children. They did send pictures of her of her wedding when she was young. And there already is sworn testimony, for example, from the children and from the, I don't know if sworn testimony, but the previous husband. So she's now moving goalposts and saying, take a blood test. They did also, by the way, send the birth announcement, not a certificate, but an announcement. So newspaper clippings, pictures, sworn testimony, evidence, and this has all been provided to her for a long time. Now remember, Candace went public and said that President Trump called her and told her to back off Brigitte. The issue is, as always, there's no proof. There's no proof that it happened. This suit, just to be clear, is going to be about proof. It's going to be about substantiation. And by the way, I have had experience with this. So the process. Tip that we get, Nashville Manifesto. Okay? Verify that it's authentic. Felt very confident in that. We're able to verify that it was authentic. Make sure that our source now is protected anonymously from the public, as well as their physical safety, as well as their employment, to the best of our abilities. Cross-reference with our lawyers what is permissible to use. Then time the release of the manifesto in coordination with our source to protect them. And by the way, it was confirmed to be authentic. We have not been sued, which they said they would, as far as the mayor, I believe, of Nashville, the MNPD, and the FBI was looking into us. We've never even received so much as a voicemail, and we have an old cassette voicemail thing. That very same day, just like Donald Trump called me, but no proof, Candace said, all these people and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have gone into verifying that Nashville story is wrong, actually, and I have the real proof, and my evidence is someone I know, and that was the end of it.
I was then contacted by another source who agreed and who had seen many more of the documents which were collected. So that's what we'll be reporting on exclusively today. 2 officers are about to be fired for the information that was given to Steven Crowder. I was told that one of the 2 officers accepted payment for the 3 journals that they released. I am not alleging that Steven Crowder is the person that paid them. I am just telling you that I have been told by the source that some payment took place. So maybe the officers, maybe there's a middleman, who knows, but that these 2 officers are going to lose their jobs over the release of this information. So you can discern from that what you will.
I hope you did discern from that what you will, as far as 2 jobs, as far as 2 police officers losing their jobs, as far as our references being wrong, as far as her source, and tune into the show later to see what, oh, that's right. Nothing happened. Not only did nothing happen, but other investigative journalists confirmed that it was false, along with our sources at that point in time, and it seems like the MNPD, and it's not actually a story. So trust me, don't trust the other people. I'm the only trustworthy person in this because I have inside information. Donald Trump called me. I can prove none of it. And now do personal relationships versus court records. So she says, provide pictures. Now, to be clear, in their filing, they said, we sent many letters.
Yes.
Many emails. And then when she never responded to the emails, they sent it, I believe, through courier to make sure that she knew.
Singing telegram?
Yeah, exactly. I heard that you were feeling ill. So they reached out to her many times to correct the record, asked her to. She had access to the information that they provided. Again, some of the information, they provided pictures. They provided news clippings.
Yeah.
They provided more pictures. They provided what amounted to sworn testimony. They provide evidence of motherhood. Now, that's not to say that all of it, let's say you believe she's a man, that it's enough proof, but it is more than enough proof that her claims there are no pictures are unsubstantiated. Then she switched it and said, well, that's actually not a picture of her. It's a picture of her brother. And then it was verified that that was not the case. And this was verified in court. So what evidence this comes down to, again, compare it to the Trump cases as far as defamation, right? Knowingly lying when you have knowledge that it will cause damage, right? That is different. You can say whatever you want. You can't knowingly weaponize words and information, especially if you know the information to be false,
right,
to damage someone publicly. You will be held responsible for that. And that is different from making a mistake. So it's going to come down to proof. I want to be very, very clear. What proof, what evidence does Candace have? Her sources include a couple of journalists who had released this publicly a very long time ago. She probably saw some of these videos on YouTube. And Amandine Roy, a spiritual medium, who floated the theory that Brigitte is really her brother who transitioned into Brigitte and isn't a man, or sorry, isn't a woman. So these are her sources. I know you're thinking there must be more. She must have medical records. Hasn't presented any. She must have evidence beyond hearsay, like the Nashville story, like Donald Trump calling her. Doesn't appear to be any. So the information that she did have at the time when she released this to use, if you watched her series, a multi-part series, where she said, there are no pictures out there of Brigitte. It's like she didn't exist. It's like her former husband, her first husband, didn't exist. Okay, at the time, according to this filing, she had childhood pictures of Brigitte. She had the evidence of Brigitte's being a biological mother to 3 children. They had the newspaper birth announcements as to when she was born. They had documentation of Brigitte's first marriage, including, by the way, pictures. They also had photos and videos of Brigitte's brother in public with Brigitte, who Candace Owens claimed Brigitte to be together.
In the same room?
Pre-split screen technology.
Chocolate bleu.
And here's the thing. I don't know if it's the medium. You guys can confirm her sources because it's a 200-page filing. Basically, as I understand it, there are 2 journalists, more or less, and 1 spiritual medium. There might be 1 journalist and 1 spiritual medium.
I think it's 1 and 1, and they're combined in the 2 people.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe that it's separate. The journalists who had these sort of, what was it called? Droit et Affaires, something like, I'm trying to remember, it was a French publication. I don't know if it's online or not. But her references are people who haven't provided any other references, to be clear. And some of them were already found liable for defamation. Now, to be clear, they appealed it, and the appeal was granted, but not on the grounds that it wasn't defamation, it was another technicality. So in this, they're
Still,
going...
and that is even being appealed, I believe, right now. So it's still working its way through.
It's still working its way through. But the first ruling that you had is, this is defamation, right? So in other words, her references have already at one point been found responsible for committing acts of defamation. And those are her references while she had these mountains of evidence. Is Brigitte Macron a dude, or is she just, and by the way, I do mean this, like, I don't like Macron, I don't like his politics, I don't like his policies, and I probably wouldn't like Brigitte at all. And by the way, she was a teacher and it was really creepy and he was young, and I think that it's probably an inappropriate relationship, of course. But if this woman is not a man and just a very unfortunate looking broad, don't you guys, like, don't you feel a little bad for her? But who knows these days? With her appearance on Ellen, that's the most evidence I've seen. Didn't help. She must have picked one up from where you planted.
Yeah. She's a seasonal worker.
And so that's what it's going to come down to, and I will tell you this. Look, with Candace and the Nashville thing, at first I was going, she doesn't have anything. I'm going, I hope she has some information. In other words, I'm hoping that our source and all of our legwork has led to other people being able to open up. And instead, I will say in the Nashville case, it was either completely incorrect or fraudulent. It is one of those two because her information was verifiably false. And I tend to believe fraudulent because she never followed up. She said, tune in, click, 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 give me clicks, and then had nothing else to provide. But you've seen this many times. There's no evidence, no proof. And when you combine with no evidence, no proof, and a gut feeling based on what a spiritual medium told you and what a sort of journalist, I guess, told you who has already been found in one capacity or another to be liable for defamation, contrasted with photographic and historical and sworn testimony evidence, I don't really think it's going to be that hard to prove that she knowingly was dishonest. It's going to come down to the damages, the jurisdiction. I really think that's the only thing that remains to be seen. I think we should expect better. I think we should expect better. Oh, you're still here watching this on YouTube? There's no more. It's over. Just like YouTube. YouTube is over. It's not a thing anymore. How many Seth Meyers clips do you need? Head on over to Rumble. Follow me there. Live on weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we can actually speak freely and don't have to self-censor. YouTube it's really not a thing. Like, you ever seen one of those towns that maybe was like a mining town, or maybe they made some kind of alloy? You say, hey, I wonder what they did in this town. It takes a while to find a person who can tell you what they did in that town, and even then you don't fully understand it. That's YouTube. YouTube is that town